that's not one I've ever applied for directly, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Recording in progress.
These people here. No. I see that.
A week's difference makes, huh? Wow.
I better write down who's here. Let's see, we got a lot of people here. Barry. Business, Harry. Okay. Hugh.
Salt's expensive.
What?
It's 6:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to our March 16th Select Board meeting, those that are here and those that are attending virtually. The first item on our agenda is to approve our minutes from our March 2nd Select Board meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Ben's the motion. Lee Gustafson's the second. Anybody have any corrections, changes, omissions, errors, anything with the draft minutes?
I do
Yep.
have one on page 2, line 13, Lee Whiting. It's spelled Whitting. We need to correct that. And then on page 3, line 8, she didn't know it would be ready, so I just stuck if in there, because I think we want that in there. And that's all I found. Good job.
Thanks, Lee. Anybody else have anything? All those in favor of approving the minutes with the two corrections stated, please say aye.
Aye.
We don't have any questions or anything from previous meetings or anything.
Nope.
Next item is old business. Julie, can you take us through our old business list? You.
Is this time for citizen comments?
Yep, it is. Sorry, Hugh. So if there's anybody here that would like to address the board regarding anything that is not on the agenda, now would be the time to do so. And I would ask that you come to the microphone and identify yourself and make your citizen's comment.
I don't know the girl in blue. I don't know the girl in blue. Hi, I'm Lori Quinn. I live at 854 Route 10. This is my neighbor.
I'm Julia Radlin. I live at 291 Blackberry Hill, which is off of Route 10 as well.
We're coming today in hopes that we raise some awareness of our neighborhood, particularly with safety concerns of traffic on our road. This is unfortunately timely to other accidents that have happened in Chester. I know on 103, one was actually right around the corner from us, and one of our dear citizens was injured badly. But we've also had accidents on our road. Just want to read a little bit about what the nature of our road is. And I have spoken with many of the residents that can't attend today.
My mother is also a resident of Route 10.
So it's known as Gassets. Many don't know where that is. It's a state road. It's heavily traveled by trucks, by commuters. It's really proven to be a major east-west road through Chester. We've come to talk to you guys about our concerns related to excessive speeding on the road. This has been an issue for many, many years. Years ago, there was a petition in the section that of the first mile and a half, the speed was actually reduced to 40 because of concerns. So a large portion of the first section heading towards Springfield is 40, and then it turns to 50. The section of the road that we think is most dangerous is the section that's at 40 miles an hour because most cars do not travel at the posted speed limit. The road features a real long, open beginning, very straight, and then it usually right in front of our old house. The road starts to go downhill, it starts to narrow, and then it is then followed by a very long portion of S-shaped, blind curving, where many of the accidents occur. So here's a brief summary of what we've experienced living there and driving on the road regularly. There have been multiple fatalities and near fatalities. There was an accident a week and a half ago on a Sunday, beautiful clear day. Car hit the S-shaped curve right near Chandler Road and flipped, landing on its roof. And from what we know, I know Julia knows the family, that woman was very seriously injured. The road has been closed multiple times due to these accidents. Speeding is well over 60 miles an hour. We don't have radar guns, but one way I know for sure that cars are speeding, that trucks are speeding, which can be heavy logging trucks, gravel trucks, all stone trucks. They will hit their air brake in front of my house, and they'll rattle all the way down the hill, which I believe, I'm not a trucker, but I believe you don't need to do that if you're going the posted speed limit. When you drive the posted speed limit, which I think a lot of our neighbors do, I like to consider myself a moving speed bump, you are faced with people rear-ending, driving aggressively, passing you, laying on their horns, and you have to be very careful when you're pulling into your driveway or out of your driveway. When we put a mailbox in, we were told by the post office we had to put it across the street. Across the street from me, there's a big gully. There was really only one place to put it. I put it as far away from the road as possible, but every day I have to cross this road to get my mail, as well as my 80-year-old neighbors who live next door. They could not come tonight. They did ask that I mention that, the fear of being able to get your mail. We have fear of pulling out of our driveway, as I mentioned, and I also fear mowing my lawn. I actually, just to maintain my front lawn, I will face traffic, which will blow grass onto the lawn. I fear there's no way I would ever have my back to a 60-mile-an-hour truck coming behind me. And I've gotten aggressive behavior from cars with grass going onto the lawn. So here's our request. In order to help protect the safety and well-being of the citizens of our neighborhood, we'd like the Select Board to take whatever steps are possible to increase enforcement, which I know there's been some police shortages. However, I have seen one police officer in 12 years sitting on the side of the road. I've actually invited the police to sit in our driveway. We have a private driveway. We actually have two that would be ideal for radar detecting. If possible, if you need to seek state assistance, we would welcome that, or if there's any means that you can come up with that would help to reduce speeding and improve our safety of living there. We appreciate you hearing us. Julia Ravlin.
So yeah, everything that Lori said, of course. It's definitely affected my day-to-day life, and I think that it also has affected most of our neighbors on this road. As Lori mentioned, it's nerve-wracking to pull out onto Route 10. Today, when I had an appointment with Lori, and actually when I pulled out of her driveway, I had somebody come up on me and going 40 miles an hour, I couldn't even see their license plate in my rearview mirror. I often get passed where people had no way of seeing what's on the other side of that corner that they're passing me in front of multiple times recently. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and it really makes me nervous to drive on that road with her. I also own my own business, so I'm trying to support the town of Chester by starting my own business in this town. It's affected my clientele as well. They're nervous to drive on the road that they drive on 4 days a week to bring their dog to me, because they've had also aggressive behavior, and I have that in writing as well. I've also lived on Route 10. I lived with my mom, who lives at 41 Matson Road. We don't live together, we live in 2 separate places. So I've lived on Route 10 basically my whole life. I've never experienced this in the past couple of years, the aggression, the speed, all of it that I have in the last couple of years in my driving career. So here tonight to ask for your help, please.
Well, thank you very much for bringing that to the board. We appreciate citizens' comments and concerns. I empathize with the traffic thing. That's happening in a lot of places, it seems, in town, in the center of town and outside of town. Route 10 is a state road. I think we're a little bit limited on what we can or can't do. I'm sure we could definitely help with enforcement with the police department to make them aware of your concerns and what you've told us and stuff. I remember when we went to the high school, the area in front of the high school, to lower the speed limit there, we had to work through the state, I believe, because they're the ones that control what goes on that road. Part of it also was traffic studies, maybe, that we could do for that area, where they put the strips down on the road to start gathering data and information to use as a tool in future conversations with the state regarding that speed limit and stuff. So hopefully we could work something out. I know we could at least start with the police department and let them know what's going on, and then take steps from there further on. And hopefully, it's not an easy thing to get the speed limits brought down. That was evident with the high school and what we went through to do it there. And there was a lot of reasons to do it to have it done, but it was still a battle.
Well,
All right.
The concern has been that the speed limit was lowered down, and from what I've heard, that was back in the 80s, and there was concern of safety. The people that owned the town farm inn way back in the 80s did that, and from what I understand from our next door neighbors, it didn't solve the problem. Enforcement is a huge problem, I think. And what I forgot to mention too is we were just paved last year, so the paving ended in the fall, and it certainly has just not helped the situation. There was no widening. While they were paving, there were cars going off the road already, and we ride our bicycles on that road. My husband and I are cyclists, and there's certain times, we only go certain times of the day. Like, we wait until the commuters are gone. So by 8 o'clock, 8:30, that 7 o'clock to 8:30 time, the volume of traffic is unbelievable. In the summer, it's my alarm clock. Like, I wake up and I listen to it and go, okay, I'm guessing it's like 7:05. It's gone by 8:30, then we get on our bikes and go for a ride. I think the pavement is only, the repaving has only made it better, but made it faster. But I think there's definitely a tolerance right now. There's not a presence, there's no fear, and it's a behavior. And it would be awesome to say it's somebody else, but it's not. It's people going to work and trucks going down the road. I've actually called some of the trucks. Mm-hmm. I've called the stone gravel people. Allstone, because we've actually bought stones from them before. They've been wonderful. I know that truck. I know their schedule. And for some days it gets better as far as speeding and putting the air brake on, and then it just starts again. I can't even imagine what would happen if one of those trucks would hit someone pulling out of these driveways or pulling out of Matson Road.
Do you think that the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit would be sufficient if people adhere to that? That would be okay?
I think it would. I mean, I think it would. Like, I purposely try to drive 40. most of the time, I don't speed around town. I don't see the reason for it. But when you drive 40, you can see the cars catching up to you.
Like I said, you can't even see their license plate in your rearview mirror, and it's not just once in a while, it feels like it's all the time lately.
And then there's this aggressive behavior when you do that. I've driven 40, I'll go from where it's coming back from Springfield, where it cuts down from 50 to 40, and by the way, there's 40-mile-an-hour signs, but there's not tons of notice that you're going from 50 to 40, but it is that section that is the most dangerous, where the S-curves are.
The S-curves.
And
There's so
even
many
those
of them.
have reduced speed signs right
Yes.
before them as well, but that's not usually the
And that's
case.
usually where the cars will continue to go at least 50 through the S-curves, and then as soon as they get through that, then they start to accelerate up the hill to where my house is, and they'll be flying right past going the other way. There could be traffic calming methods they can do. I know the straightaway in front of the town farm inn definitely contributes to people accelerating. So we would love for you to study it. We just want to be heard, and we want to make everybody safe.
I'm happy
We
to
wanna-
help if anybody has ideas about studies. I'm more than happy to help out with that, too. It'd be really interesting to see statistics of accidents in the last couple of years versus the last 20 years or so. I would love to have figured that out myself, but I don't know how to do that. But I think the speed limit is 40 miles per hour is sufficient. I believe that if there was just some sort of presence, even one of those signs, I don't know how these speeding signs in town work, and that's something I would be willing to look into as well for statistics. But if those are helpful, that would be great too. I know they make me slow down.
Well, they raise awareness.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, they do.
The awareness, I think. is
So-
really
Yeah.
important.
It does.
I will pull the crash data from VTrans, certainly. And then I believe that, and maybe you know this from being on TAC, that the state has been talking about a whole reconstruction of Route 10. I don't know the timeline of that, so I will find that out as well.
Okay.
We may be, certainly know we're at the beginning, and I don't know that design has been done, or maybe they're in the midst of design. There's something coming.
It's in the early stages of
Stages,
it.
yeah, that's what I was
So you've
thinking.
got quite a few years before it happens.
But maybe we could also have some input at this point, since we are in the early stages. I mean,
Yeah.
not to say that that's the only thing, but I think that's another
part of it,
piece, is we can find out details on that part as well. But then I will certainly talk to the chief and make sure we have some presence out there.
Appreciate
That would help. and
Kinda work
we
on
could
all of
start
it.
a traffic study probably, or get that in the works too with the state to
They may
get some more
already, they may
data.
have already done it. I'll pull their
See
data.
what they have.
Yeah, wow, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When you feel your whole house shaking when those truckers go by, it's in the middle of the night and your house will shake. They're
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bill?
Bill Lindsay, I see on the agenda here, item 9 says executive session for planning commission appointment. I have attended, I wouldn't say 100% of the planning board meetings lately, so I would like to make a comment to the board in your decision, if that would be appropriate.
I think so.
Okay. The planning board has, in the last couple of years, had some ups and downs with business people within your community, also with regulations that they have heard on the street. Hearing things on the street is kind of like a fish story. The fish always gets bigger, and a lot of information gets misconstrued. I want to compliment the town one for Preston's service now as the zoning administrator, and also indicate that Kathy Hasbrook has done an excellent job as a chairperson in bringing the different factions of the board together. And I mention that because the early sessions that I went to on the planning board, there appeared to be a lot of dissension, and probably some of it was not meant, but I believe it was because of lack of knowledge of the community. Kathy has made some efforts to talk about talk with people in the community before presentations to the board. Now, if the board is considering a presentation for the community and to get this to be a more friendly view of the planning boards and the boards, I think we should stick with the current board that we have and give the board a chance and time to work. If you take the time to read the new regulations or the proposed regulations, they are very confusing to two sections of your community. Those who are the business people who are driving the train, and you're trying to keep a friendly attitude and bring more business here, and some of the larger property owners that have come up to retire. I bring to the attention that you have to keep in mind, we need a friendly business community if we're going to continue to move forward. And I would ask you to keep that consideration in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. The reason I'm allowing comments regarding the Planning Commission is because of basically the way the lineup is on our schedule and stuff, because we're going to be going into an executive session to discuss this. And when we come out, we're going to be having a vote, or maybe not, but that's why I think it's okay to have any comments regarding the Planning Commission at this point.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Judging the point.
Thank you. Harry Goodell, and well, you people know that I've sat on 3 different boards as far as Planning Commission, Board of Adjustment, the DRB, and I'm here because I think that you people should really consider Peter Hudkins. I've worked with him on all of these boards to reappoint him, and that's what I'm going to ask you people to reappoint him.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you, Harry.
Is there anyone else that has any citizens' comments they would like to make? I guess it's okay to go on to old business now, Julie.
Okay.
Thanks, you.
Good now. So just a couple quick items. Number one, the Andover contract was approved at their meeting Monday night. So I have sent they did find a couple of typos of all the nerve. But anyway.
Not on numbers though, right?
No. No. So anyways, I'll make those couple typos, send it to them. Chris is going to sign it, and it'll be at your next meeting for your signature as well. The solar field, actually, Lee has been able to get some research done. Him and I are going to talk with a former select board chair of the town of Heinsberg that was strategically involved in the taking over of a solar field in their town. So Lee and I will be talking to him, getting the ins and outs of what they did and how they did it, and so we'll be reporting back on that. Hopefully your first meeting in April.
So it is a possibility. I mean, that was one of the
Heinsberg
first
did,
questions
yeah.
that we had.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about, like, how did they do it, you know? So hopefully, the first meeting in April, we will be able to have an update on that. And then the Public Safety Department, this is just kind of an announcement for the town at large. Fire, police, and ambulance are going to be hosting community breakfasts at the new station the first Saturday of the month.
Julie, I thought that was going to be Sunday.
They have come up with Saturday.
Okay.
From 7:30 to 10,
Okay.
first Saturday of the month from June through September. The cost for the breakfast will be nominal. They're just working out those numbers now. And they will also be working on an event that they're going to hold in late summer, early fall. Very similar to what we used to do for police, the National Night Out. They're going to kind of merge that with all emergency services and host a big event, community event, hoping that that will be an annual thing. So just some things coming up. As other details are fine-tuned, I'll keep everybody in the loop, and that's really it for old business.
Julie, can you share us about that, share the information regarding the grant that we did not get?
Oh, I just found out at 5 o'clock tonight. So Carol Light.
You don't know the details.
I don't know the details. Carol Lighthall, as you may remember, there was a regional grant application that was funneled through the Chamber of Commerce actually wrote the grant. It involved Chester, Weathersfield, and Ludlow. We just found that our portion of that was going to be used to finish the Brookside Bridge, the walking path. So that grant was rejected. We're not sure why. Carol is going to have a follow-up meeting with them to determine where the application fell short. It's not a grant program that I am overly familiar with. So she'll get some details, but there is ARPA funding, there are other opportunities, and we'll be looking into that to finish the funding of that
Thank you.
path. Yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else, any comments regarding old business? Any concerns? Any old business? No. The next item on our agenda is a request from Chester Townscape to put a plaque in honor of Tori Spader. She was, I guess, one of the founding members of Chester Townscape from 20 years ago, I believe,
I think
or
so,
somewhere
yeah.
thereabouts, 25 years ago. And they've done some amazing work in Chester as far as the beautification of the bridges, the boxes, and a lot of the information booth, and a lot of other areas of town. And they're requesting a plaque to be put up on the Church Street Bridge on the north side, which is pretty close to the driveway that heads up to her house. I believe she's moving out of town, moving out of Vermont to Chittenden County, somewhere up around there.
Be closer to her kids.
Southern Canada.
Yeah, well, that's... And they're requesting permission to put that plaque up. I would think that we would be...
We have no concerns. Kirby has no concerns. We have no concerns.
No.
If you guys authorize it.
I think it's a wonderful
I
idea.
think it's a wonderful idea as well.
Do we need a motion?
I don't think so. If you just give me the permission, I can pass it on to them and they can get it
Thumbs up.
ordered.
Sounds
Thumbs
good.
up? Yep.
Okay.
And I'd like to thank her for all the work
Yeah.
that she's done for this town over the years, not in just this capacity, but on all the other facets that she's been involved with this town. She's going to be sorely missed. I know that back in the day, there was a scholarship fund that was set up for
think
her
so, for her
husband also,
husband,
that's
yeah.
granted every year, that has helped a lot of kids go to colleges in a good financial amount to help them along the way too, and it was through her and her husband and stuff where that started too. She's been a big and important part of this community, so I'll get to see that
Here's what the
plaque every
will
day
look like.
when I pull out of Meadow.
Yeah.
That's right.
The next item on our agenda is just DRB appointments. We have 2 appointments to confirm. Harry Goodell and Phil Perla are each requesting to be reappointed to 3-year terms that would expire in March of 2025. We've had our interviews, we've had our discussions, we've talked about it. We're looking for a motion to carry them forward for the...
Do we need to make a motion for each one individually? Can we do them both together?
You should probably do them individually.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to appoint Harry Goodell to the Development Review Board.
Second.
Lee is the motion and Heather is the second. Discussion.
For a term of 3 years to expire in 2025.
Yeah, whatever.
And maybe longer. Like you said, Harry, I think you've been involved in the town politics for a long time. And besides the politics, in other parts, the fire department, I mean, have you grown up here, lived here all your life? Were you
So
born
far.
around?
No, I'm
No?
born in Springfield.
Oh, Springfield. Excuse me.
The other side of the
I
track.
haven't built a
I've been
hospital in
over
Chester
here,
yet.
let me see, 69.
Wow.
Well,
Thank
thank you.
you for volunteering and being a part of the community. And
Thanks, Harry.
sometimes it's a thankless job, and it's appreciated that you step up and serve the community. Anybody else have any comments, concerns, any questions? No? All those in favor of the motion as stated to appoint Harry Goodell for a 3-year term ending March 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
And
I'll make a motion to appoint Phil Perla to the Development Review Board for a 3-year term ending in March 2025.
And I'll second that.
Lee's the motion. Who seconded that?
I did.
Lee Dakin.
Lee can have it.
Lee Dakin.
Lee Dakin's the second. Any discussion on this? I think Phil's been a great addition to the board. He brings a lot of expertise and a level-headedness and knowledge that I think is very helpful. All those in favor of appointing Phil Perla for a 3-year term, not expiring March 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. The next item on our agenda is a local cannabis control commission. As a result of the town vote that we had at town meeting, cannabis retail will be allowed in Chester. It has to go through the process of permitting and approval from the state, and it also has to abide by our zoning regulations on where it can be or where it cannot be. And we as a town have a choice on whether we want to establish a local cannabis control commission.
Yes.
Or not have one, and then state would just take over on it and do the work for it. So I thought we would put this on the agenda just to see where the board wanted to go with this. Do we want to have a local a cannabis control commission? Do we not? How do we want to set it up? Do we want it to be the select board, or do we want to get people from the community to be part of this board? And I thought it would be a good topic to at least start discussing to see what direction we're going to go as far as a local cannabis control commission would be.
So I'll start the discussion. I think absolutely we should have a local cannabis control commission. I think it should start with the select board, and then if we feel like we need to add people from the community, we can do that. But at least having something in place will allow us to have the important discussions we need relative to the entire cannabis discussion and issue.
In our package, we did get some information regarding their authority and what they can or can't do, and it is limited in a way.
Sure.
Because most of it seems like it's definitely related to our zoning regulations and nuisance regulations, I believe it was. I wasn't even sure what nuisance
It's
regulations.
that's an ordinance part.
Yeah, public nuisance. Interferes with the rights of the public, I guess, what they would call a public nuisance and stuff. But was there a limit on how many people could be on this commission? Could it be the select board, and then if somebody from the public wanted to be involved with it also, could they be a part of it?
There is nothing in the guidance that
gives-
specifies
it
how
has to be
many.
one or the other, or, but I think your idea, Lee, was a good one, to at least start with the select board and then put it out there to the public, if there's someone in the public that wanted to be involved with this also, to be part of that group, because I can't imagine it would be meeting that often. It seems like if it's going to be kind of related, like our liquor commission is, where we approve the licenses as they come through. The initial license might be the one that would be the most important part of it, but after that, it seems like it's just renewals and stuff, and then the questions always get asked, are there any issues, or are there any problems, or anything else like that?
So like the liquor license.
Yeah, basically, I would think it's
Well,
the same way. But,
Vermont
sometimes,
statutes,
what's
Title
that?
VII. The Vermont, the Vermont statutes, Title VII,
Yeah.
pretty much outlines
What we can or can't do, yeah. And that is true on a lot of things when it comes to what a municipality could do or not do, and it's all spelled out in there as far as what we're allowed to do. So it seems like we as a board can take up that responsibility now and possibly advertise it if there's someone else that might be interested, or people from the public would like to be part of it too. They could be part of that group to offer their input or not. Bill, would you like anything to say?
Yeah, I'd like to address the issue. I read the information that was put in, I assume, in your packets, and it appears, if you really read it, a local board doesn't really have very much authority. Most of the authority is granted by, and it didn't clarify, it didn't spec out how the members of the board in Montpelier are picked, chosen, voted on. It is a little loose from the information that the state provided. What I understood is, yes, you could have a board member. When I hear a board member that says Town of Chester, someone from the public would probably be also good. I think I'd like to see somebody from the schools, if that is the case, where children are involved, because this affects children. So the other thing that comes to mind is, what is the legal ramifications to the Town of Chester if you sign on as a board member or members of the public? And I think we need to have some clarification from our attorney on what the legal responsibility would be. Let's say somebody was to leave a park, get in their vehicle, have an accident. Who do the lawyers look to? The lawyers look to the people who have the deepest pockets. So I think we should have, before this is made as a decision by your board, I think we should have some legal information regarding this. I know it was easy to push off the vote because some people were unhappy, but this particularly putting the Town of Chester's name on a board as such. As a former selectman, I was never really happy about the alcohol. We have to sign the licenses, and you go, what did I sign? You signed the license, town clerk took the money, we put it in the coffers, but we really didn't have any responsibility. And I'm kind of looking at this, that it's the same avenue, maybe even a little more serious, because I think, I have no record to back this up, but I think you will probably have some infringements from cannabis more than you would with alcohol in the young age. Saying that, I probably had my first beer at 14. But the point I'm trying to make is, I think we should really have some advice from the attorneys, and let's see what the responsibility would be to the Board of Selectmen in Chester. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
We can look into it, Bill, but I kind of agree with you. I don't think it's going to be much different or much more authority than the liquor control, like when we do the liquor licenses and stuff too. It seems like it's more a formality.
Exactly.
And the only other part is that nuisance part. And when we ask the police, are there any issues? Are there any violations and stuff? And along those lines. Part of it might be that we have a little bit more authority when there's conditions on the zoning part of it. Or are they meeting their conditions? Are they?
With traffic and et cetera.
Yeah.
We could not pick on that particular retailer as such.
Yeah.
And by the way, you don't get much money because the license money is going to go to the state.
Can the speaker please approach the microphone?
Asking you to, Bill, when you speak, you have to walk up to the mic. It's a little late.
And most of the money will go to the state of Vermont anyhow.
Well, that's what it seems like.
Thank you.
All of it will go to the state.
Yeah.
We get $100.
Oh, we get $100?
Yes.
To process the license.
Oh, okay. My bad.
That was a big part of it, the fact that they would not even consider giving the towns any part of that 14% excise tax, what do they call it?
Excise tax.
Excise tax. I just, they're not ones to share the money. They want to get their hands in it and then slowly pass it back to the town, maybe. I'm not sure exactly what their reasoning is and how it works, but. So I guess the consensus of the board is that we will be the Cannabis Commission, and maybe put out some information requesting that if there's anybody that, any citizens from town that would like to be involved, that they too can be involved. And we'll take it from there.
I think that makes sense.
Should we check with the attorney to see if there's a lot of exposure?
That you direct me, if that's what you'd like me to do, I can certainly, I don't believe the exposure is any different than liquor licenses, but I can certainly ask.
I can't see how it would be any different.
Well, just to Bill's comment, you know.
No, it's worth the question.
Crossing the Ts,
for
dotting
sure.
the Is.
maybe there's something different about it, but looking through all the regulations and all the rules that they had and stuff, when it came down to your local commission, it seemed like it was very limited in its authority on what it could do or what it could influence or anything. So I'm not exactly sure.
Go ahead, Ben.
I certainly hear Bill, but on the concept of, to relate it to liquor licenses, we've been doing it forever, and people go to the pub or the Legion or Jiffy Mart and so on. So I'm personally fine on moving on that tonight.
So do we need a motion to establish our local commission?
You do, you have a question on Zoom? Scott? I don't know.
Scott Blair, do you have a question? Is that your hand up?
Yeah, that's mine.
Go ahead.
So it's just more of a comment. The discussion of having the select board, I definitely support the select board being the ones to be in charge of this, just because of, like it's been said, the liquor license control is from our select board. And my point of view is that would be really great. And like Ben just mentioned, we've been dealing with it with liquor and alcohol for X amount of years. So this is a new industry to people, but I also just want to make it clear that this is for retail, it's not for consumption. I just want to make that 100% clear.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Anyone else have any comments or concerns here or in our virtual world?
I think it's pretty clear in the statute that this does follow the lines of the alcoholic beverages, cannabis, and tobacco.
What was that again?
So it does follow the same lines as alcohol, cannabis, and tobacco.
Yeah.
And I think we will want to make sure we understand this, because there are a lot of shall nots in here.
Don't do this, don't do that. I agree with you, Lee. Yes, Kathy?
Kathy Hasbrook. It doesn't look from the documents we can do much of anything, but I think that if you have a local control commission, the town gets to meet and approve the applicant before the state does, and that might make people feel better. I don't know. But that's worth a thought. I mean, it might be a lot of work to have that, but if people feel better, then maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, I forget exactly the order, where it's involved, whether, I think they need a local license before they go to the state.
Yeah, so you get to see them first.
But you have to have a legal, justifiable reason to deny it. So I think that might be a hard one to, once you go through the steps, and if you're in an area, we have to treat it basically just like retail.
Absolutely.
And we can't make any exceptions for it regarding anything. So to refuse something that is legal by the regulations and by whatever else is in place,
right,
might put us out to be liable for a lawsuit then. But you're right. At least
you get
the eyes of the
meet
town
the person,
are on it.
and they know that townspeople know them. So that's one kind of control.
Yeah, it does get the information out there for
Yeah.
sure. And we get to see it and go through it, see what's happening, where it's going to be, and whatever else. So it won't
I'd
come as a
support that
surprise.
if it made people feel better, like they had a little more control and it was more personal.
Yep, on a local level. Thank you,
Yeah.
Kathy.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, you do need a motion to establish and to appoint yourselves, if
I
that's what
will
you're doing.
make a motion to establish the Chester Cannabis Control Commission and to have that be membered by the Chester Select Board with future discussion of adding more positions.
Second.
Ben's the motion, and Lee Gustafson's the second. Any further discussion on it? All those in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All set with that.
Arnie, I just wonder if this would be the appropriate time to bring up the ordinances related to nuisances. Is that something that we want to discuss now or later after the commission meets for the first time? Or is that something that the planning commission has to take on? Or how do we deal with that whole issue?
That's a good
So
question.
ordinances are the select board, Zoning bylaws are the planning commission. So this public nuisance is what they're referring to is an ordinance.
Okay.
So that would be a select board.
And I was looking to try to find examples of ordinances and stuff, and I couldn't find anything that was specific to a small town. I mean, they talk about pollution and smoke and foul odors, excessive light, loud noises, like noise regulations and stuff. I don't know how any of that would apply.
So I know the village of Ludlow passed something in 2014, I believe, relative to this. Sorry, 2012, relative to ordinance prohibiting medical marijuana dispensaries and establishments that sell or display drug and tobacco paraphernalia. And that's something I'm happy to share with the rest of the board if you guys are interested in it. There's a couple others that I also got for other towns. Weatherfield has one, and then there's another one, not sure where it came from, but I'm happy to share those just to start the conversation.
Sure. When we meet next as a Cannabis Control Commission, get that information out there, share it with us, see what's going on. And I've seen some of that too. And part of it was related to tobacco products.
Right.
Usually it's related to some type of product or industry that was adult only.
Exactly. And as has been stated before, we can't take a stand or make regulations specifically related to marijuana. It has to apply to, as you said, adult-oriented issues. So I think it's a conversation worth having, because it's not only the discussion of the day, but there are other issues that we don't want to be facing as a town related to X-rated industries or other things that could be coming our way that we don't necessarily, as the leaders of the town, want to see established on the green or anywhere else in town for that matter. I think there's issues related to a lot of things that we should be talking about as we move forward.
Sure, so let's get the information out there. We'll get the examples, take a look at it, see if it's something that we want to pursue or would apply here, how it works or how it doesn't work, and start the discussion on it, for sure.
Okay.
Do you want that meeting to be on your next agenda? What are you?
Well, if the information's there, sure.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
How's the board feel on this?
That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, the timeliness of it, it was my understanding
April.
that in April they can apply,
Yep.
which is close, but I'm not sure what the role is going to be other than, you know, but
Right.
sooner, fine. I think we have some time.
I mean, are you suggesting an additional meeting?
No.
A non-regularly scheduled meeting? Okay, just
I don't think
just
this
asking the
warrants
question.
that we jump that quick. and
Yeah,
that
yeah, no,
fast. don't-
I just want to make sure that I understood what Heather was suggesting.
Let's get the information, see what it is, and see if we want to pursue it or even look at, I mean, at least get the information, we could take a look.
Okay.
We could figure it out from there or take it from there.
Excuse me. Scott has his hand up.
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the board is aware. I just want to make it known. Starting today, the pre-qualification applications for opening a dispensary came out. So I just wanted to make that known. So such as myself, if I wanted to do a pre-qualification to get background checked and such from the state, I can, as of today is the first day, I can apply and get the pre-qualification. So I've got a heads up. Just wanted to let you guys know about that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And I think somebody said that they're going to start issuing licenses in April, but the sale doesn't happen till October.
October.
Right. So there's quite a bit still, quite a bit going on between now and then.
And I think as we move forward, we can, as we're developing what the local board is going to look like, we can talk to those who know more about the statutes and how that would look. I think this is all new. This is all new for the state. So it's not, I mean, this has to do with Title VII, which is the alcoholic beverages, cannabis, and tobacco. But at the same time, we have some things to learn as we move forward.
Well, it seems like there are some towns that have put some sort of limitation on it or some kind of ordinance that would affect, it seems more location than anything. But that's the only thing I've seen in some of the documents and some of the information that I've looked through and things. But we could look at it. We could, see what it is and get the information and see how it works or doesn't work and see if it fits or doesn't fit in our applications. I mean, it's good to look these things over. Whether we pursue it or not is a whole different story, but you want to do the due diligence to see what's out there, because what we have is not really much going, right? Much control over things, right?
Oh, absolutely. Good.
Which brings us to our liquor licenses.
Perfect segue.
And it's, we used to have motions for every single one of these, and now it's basically just housekeeping where, we ask the questions, are there any concerns? The police department have any issues? Everybody's up to their training, which was part of it also. They've gone through all their steps. They've done everything they were supposed to do. They haven't had any major issues or anything with them all. And they're all here. So, sign on the dotted line and the liability will be ours. Well, no, maybe not.
No.
So the first one is,
They're in order.
McLoman's.
First class.
First class license for McLoman's on Main Street. On the other side.
How about here? I'll take these and then hand them to you.
One at a time. I should be able to handle that. Are they in line like this?
They are going to be, yeah.
Second class license, Global Montello Group,
Jiffy Mart.
which is Jiffy Mart.
And McLoman's.
No, then it's Dollar General.
Dollar General, sorry, both second class. Yep.
I'm fine when you make a mistake, Julie. I feel better. Because usually it's just me.
Yeah. It's all the time.
And usually you both make huge ones, right?
Third class license, McLoman's. Outside consumption, McLoman's. Entertainment permit, McLoman's.
You got it.
And the winner is, I think, McLoman's for sure.
All set?
Yeah, I'm all down there?
Yep.
New business, future agenda items.
Oh, I wrote a couple down.
Sure.
So one of the things I've been thinking about now that maybe spring is coming is to start thinking about and planning for our crosswalk lines. Putting back on, because they're all kind of worn off now.
Yeah, they do that every spring.
They do?
We do that every spring.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then for a future agenda, perhaps, I know there's been some talk about making a walkway or sidewalk from the high school into town.
Mhm.
And I think that is going to, I would like to have a discussion about that and see what it's all about.
That's been a dream of the town, I think, to have a sidewalk from the high school all the way to the Pinnacle that was paved and safe, off to the side.
So we had a scoping study done of that a number of years ago. So I can certainly pull that back out. It wasn't a full scoping study like what we did for Church Street. It was more of a kind of a feasibility type of study.
Yeah.
I can certainly pull that back out.
Okay.
There is funding that I was going to be looking at that opens up in, I believe, June. It's the bike ped money. That's the money that we use to do the full scoping study for Church Street. We could certainly use that grant money to do a full scoping study for that section too.
There's been a lot of interest in that lately.
There has been, yes.
I see a lot more people walking.
Yep.
A lot more people on the streets and the sidewalks, and it's just too bad that a lot of places there aren't sidewalks.
Right, right. Well, we have some sidewalk things happening this spring, but this was a separate one. The other thing, and I don't know who was responsible for doing it, but on the 103 north side of Jiffy Mart, there are some posts in place now, so the tractor trailers cannot park.
That was the state.
The state did it? Yes.
Yep.
I'm really pleased.
Yep.
I noticed it's only happened recently.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That was very dangerous, and it made a mess of the lawns and everything else.
Yeah.
You know, good.
Yeah.
Glad to know.
Anybody else have anything for future agenda items, new business?
I have nothing.
I was curious about one thing that's come up over the years. It was probably like 4 or 5 years ago when the Tomaso property, or actually 3 or 4 years, when the Tomaso property became available in the New England
Forestry Foundation.
Made an attempt to purchase that land, and it kind of fell through at the end and stuff. It's been 2 or 3 years now with the new owners. I'm just curious whether it's worth the conversation with those owners on what their plans are for that property. To see what they think they're going to be doing with it, because I imagine they must be getting close to the end of the log. The trucks are starting to slow up, and I guess they're slowing up now because it's mud season. But I don't know how much time they still have left there. And because it's such a big parcel in our town, I think it would behoove us maybe just to at least be ask the question, what are you doing with this property? What's going on with it? Maybe there's something else we could do with it, but I think it might be worth a discussion or at least some inquiry to those folks to see what the future is of that big parcel. I know it's broken up into a few pieces now, the biggest one being around 1,600 acres, I think it is, or something, and then there's a few other small ones and stuff. But since it's such a big part of our town, it would be great if that first effort came through and it was a town forest. So it looks a little different now, that's for sure. But I think it's still an important piece to consider, or at least see what the future is on it.
Sure, I'll reach out.
Thanks, Julie.
Yep.
Anything else? No. Next item on our agenda is to enter executive session for a planning commission appointment discussion. And I believe we'll be coming out and taking some action on this. I believe so, but we'll see how the discussion goes. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss planning commission appointment.
So moved.
Heather's the motion, Lee's the second, or Lee's the motion and Heather's the second?
Yeah.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So,
Is everybody waiting is everybody waiting for them to come back out of executive session? I wonder if maybe it'd be easier if the 5 of you went downstairs
Sure.
instead of, I'll unlock my office so you can go down.
that makes sense.
Okay.